Well, as you can see, I'm working within the var cache bind directory and in the context of the root user. Within this directory, when we look at the output of ls, we can see then that I've got my two zone files. So the db.example, which is for my forward lookups, and then my reverse lookups, my PTR file, the db.10.0.2 file. We're going to look at modifying db.example, so we can go into this, so vi db.example. Remember, the file names are not particularly important, but obviously they've got to be referenced correctly from your configuration. We can see that we've got the origin set here, so if we want to make the configuration a little bit more compact, what we could choose to do is then go down to our example.com and then we can start clearing some of this out. So if I delete the record from there and then go into my insert and just use the @ symbol. So with the @ symbol, we're representing the value of $origin. If we follow on down where we've got the example.com here, again, if I go through and delete these, and if I just leave a space there, that's going to be enough. The space is going to represent the last record name used. Well, that was @, but of course then that expands to example.com. Moving down then to below our aliases, we're going to add in then a little section. We don't need these sections, it just helps us out. But we can then put, say, our text descriptions. And we can go through and add in then for master. We can go in, say, add an internet record, txt record. And then, of course, within the txt record, we can pretty much put what we want, as long as it doesn't exceed the 256 bytes. So we can go through and put DNS master for example. Once we're happy with that, we can go through and save our change. With our file saved, rather than having to restart the whole server, we can actually try this, rndc, and then reload. And if we choose then example.com, this leaves anything that we have in cache in memory, but reloads the zone file. Once we're ready, we can then use our trusty companion dig and then -t, and this time we're going to look for our txt records. And we want to go through and take a look then for master.example.com. When we look at the answer section, we can see then that we get returned DNS master for example. So we can see the information, the administrative information that we've added in being returned. If I clear this out, go back and edit the zone, and in this instance we're going to go through and add in a couple of extra entries, and you'll see what we're doing as we go through. But if I go through and we're going to add in, if we just put host here and then internet address, and we're going to put then 10.0.2.4, so the IP address of my host, and we're going to put then another record for host and an address, and we're going to put then 127.0.0.1. So of course it does represent this as almost a multi-home device. If I query the DNS server on 127.0.0.1, then I'm going to get the bottom host returned. If I query the server from 10.0.2.4, I'll end up getting the top host being returned. Remember, we were saying that if you're on the same network, you'll get that being returned. If I'm on neither of these networks, and either the 10.0.2 network or the 127 network, we're then going to use the round robin system. So again, I can save this. I can go back and reload the zone. And now when I go through, if we use dig for host.example.com and then at 127.0.0.1, we can see here we're getting then both records coming back, but 127 is on the top. If we then go through and choose at 10.0.2.4, now when we look at it, we're getting, again, both examples coming back, but 10.0.2.4 is the top. So that's the one the client would choose. We can prove that this isn't a round robin by running it again. So again, 10.2 or 10.0.2, again 10.0.2, change it back to the 127, and we're going to find then that 127 is the primary address that we're given. So we can start understanding some of the behavior of these records. So we can start to understand how some of this then comes into play and understanding the records and how and why we use them. For the moment though, we're going to return back to the slides to look at how we can configure logging.